Lesson 20 is about the greatest common factor, which is also abbreviated GCF, and we'll see that a lot today. Now our key vocabulary is greatest common factor, and the definition for that is the largest factor that two or more numbers have in common. Again, the largest factor that two or more numbers have in common. So go ahead and pause now to get that written down. We're going to move on to the next slide. The first problem that we have today is find the GCF of 12 and 18. So we're trying to find the greatest common factor. So if we do that, remember, the factors are numbers that you can multiply in order to get to a certain number. So 12, that's equal to 1 times 12. Could also be 2 times 6. And it could also be 3 times 4. So this, if we look at it, it's actually a nice list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Let's look at 18. If we look at 18, 18 is equal to 1 times 18, or 2 times 9, or we could say it's 3 times 6. And we've got all of our factors of 18. Now what we want to do is find the greatest common factor, so the biggest number that they both have in common. And if we look, we can see they both have a 1 in common. They both have a 2 in common. They both have a 3 in common. They both also have a 6 in common. And the 6 is the biggest number that they both have. So our answer is 6. The GCF, or greatest common factor, of 12 and 18 is going to be equal to 6. And we've got our final answer. This is the method we'll use whenever we're figuring out a greatest common factor problem. Let's move on to the next slide. Alright, here's our next example. Find the GCF, greatest common factor, of 6, 9, and 15. Well, we could have three different numbers. We know how to find factors of a number. 6 is equal to 1 times 6, or 2 times 3. Let's look at 9. 9 is equal to 1 times 9, or 3 times 3. And 15. 15 is equal to 1 times 15. Always a good idea to start with 1 times that number when you're listing out factors. Can't be nothing multiplied by 2. No whole number multiplied by 2 gets us to 15. But we could multiply 3 times 5 to get to 15. So what we need to do now is figure out what is the biggest number that they have in common, the greatest common factor. Well, we see they all have a 1. They all have a 3. And if you look, the 9 doesn't have a 6 as a factor. The 15 doesn't have a 6 as a factor. If we look back, there's a 5 here, but no 5 in the 9 or the 6 list. So 3. 3 must be our answer. 3 is our greatest common factor. So the answer, what is the greatest common factor of 6, 9, and 15? Well, that's equal to 3. And we're all done. We've got our answer to that problem. We'll continue more with greatest common factors on our lesson practice, page 101. Make sure you've got your notes completed, and I'll see you during our next class. Have a nice afternoon.